Hi, we're Ellie and David, and we're overlanding across Europe and Central Asia in our Land Rover Defender Yak. In this episode we drive 2,000 miles across Kazakhstan on questionable roads and pick up my sister Fleur, who's joining us on the trip for a while. We then check out the Singing Dune and the rest of the amazing Altyn Emel National Park.
We stopped because we found an overlander spot that said that there was water nearby, just a little village in the middle of nowhere. We stopped and asked the police where the water source was, so we couldn't quite get to it on the maps. And he had very little English, but he could speak a little bit, but couldn't quite explain where it was. So he drew us a little map in the dirt. So he just said it's around here to the right. So hopefully we'll find it.
We found the water.
The police that I asked where the water was just came and checked we were alright. They were really friendly. We were chatting with them for a long time, asked what our plans were. We said we've got a long drive and we'll be camping along the way, and he kind of looked a bit concerned, and he said, be careful, at night wolves, and kind of a bit surprised. It's the second person that's warned us about wolves. We were like, oh really? Yeah, and he said, yeah, at night can be quite dangerous. He told us to be safe, so obviously need to be a bit more careful than we thought at night.
So we've got 80 litres of water now and over 100 litres of fuel, so I think we should be alright until we get to the next big town. We're not really sure how many water sources we're going to come across, but yeah, we're playing it safe and I think we should be alright. We've covered quite good ground today. We've done about, how much would you say?
About 800 kilometres.
Yeah, since we left the port. So we are having to rush a little bit through Kazakhstan because obviously we need to get to my sister, and we were put off schedule a little bit when we were stuck in Georgia, but we will have time once we get to my sister to slow down a bit, which will be nice.
So should be maybe 6 days until we're there, so it'll be about 6 days of maybe 5 or 6 hours of driving, which actually isn't too bad. We're going to stop off at the Aral Sea, like Ellie said, but apart from that we'll just kind of get to Fleur and then slow down from there and see more of the east side of Kazakhstan and stuff like that. Ellie's just come around to open this door to get some food for dinner, and the bottom from the handle's just come off at some point today. I mean, you can push it in if you've got a thin enough pen or whatever, but we don't. So we're going to have to whip it like this for now. Don't know how we're going to fix this, but we can't do it today.
It's not ideal for when Fleur joins us because this is her door. Good timing, as ever.
Yeah. So we've done about 15 hours on really good roads so far. We've made really good progress. But now I'm worried that this is the end of the good roads. We've still got about 2,000 kilometers and we're maybe doing max 30 kilometers an hour. The roads are pretty bad. It might get better. We might end up back on a motorway, I don't know, but it could be like this for a very, very long time.
Cars and trucks are constantly on our side of the road to avoid the potholes, which has been a bit scary.
The back window on this side is kind of, the seal has popped off its rivets, so it's just shaking constantly. I'm scared that it's just going to fall off in a couple of days. So maybe when we get to a bigger town, we'll see if there's anyone that can reseal it before it gets even worse. So we've covered about 6.5 hours today, which is pretty good. The last hour and a half though has been on really bad roads, so a lot of potholes, very bumpy, and it's still another about 2 hours to go until we get to kind of where we want to be. We might not drive the rest of that now, but we're just going to stop, have a little 20-minute, 30-minute break. We're just going to have some instant noodles. Ellie's going to have some carrots to make sure we're getting our vitamins. I might just have a little bit of a walk just to kind of loosen up, and then kind of try and carry on. So we're close-ish to Aralsk, so tomorrow I expect we'll get there, the town which is kind of right next to the Aral Sea, and kind of stop there maybe for half a day, get some photos, have a little look around, because like we said before, Ellie's quite interested in the area, and I am as well. So yeah, we'll carry on maybe for another hour and a half this evening after we've eaten, because it doesn't get dark until about 9, but we're just going to take it steady just because the roads are so bad here. It's quite buggy here, so just come prepared.
I definitely didn't just try and eat some carrot through the net.
Road has been pretty relentless. There's so much corrugation and so many potholes, and you're kind of dodging each one and swerving in and out. You get these tiny patches of tarmac, which is a little bit of respite, but they're almost teasing because then you go straight back onto the horrendous stuff. And we saw up on a hill these guys beckoning us over, so we drove up off the road. Didn't know whether they were trying to warn us about something, but they were just drinking and just wanted us to join in with them, offering us vodka and stuff, and we were trying to translate, just saying we're driving, we're in a bit of a rush, need to get to Mulkabik, which is the town we've set the map to, and so they were chatting with us lots, taking loads of pictures, and they kept saying, oh, whiskey, vodka, we're like, no, we can't, we've really got to drive, so eventually they said bye, took some pictures, and then gave us some beers.
Away from the next kind of main road, and we've only got about 70 kilometers worth of fuel left in the tank, so it's pretty good timing. Sorry about the sound, the road's still very corrugated. When we stopped last night, my ears were ringing for about half an hour because it's been so loud in here.
NatWest changed from Visa to MasterCard whilst we were on the trip, so they said that our card would stop working at some point and they'd send me a new one. So Fleur's bringing my new one out, and she's flying to Bishkek today, so we're meeting her in a couple of days, but my card finally stopped working yesterday, and so we can't actually buy any fuel. So I've tried to register Ellie's phone with Apple Pay using the new card details, but I have to verify it, and I couldn't verify it because I didn't have my old British number. So
also didn't have Wi-Fi.
Also didn't have Wi-Fi, so we've still got the jerry can fuel, but that's not enough to get to Bishkek. So hopefully when we get to the next town, we can see if NatWest has verified that. But we've also run out of minutes and data on my Kazakh SIM card, and I can't top that up with a new card for some reason, I don't know. So I'm just hoping that NatWest have actually been able to verify it and we can actually buy fuel, but we'll see what happens when we get there.
It's a big moment, we're about to go onto tarmac. Yay! After 8 hours.
Oh, so beautiful. beautiful. 'Cause, like, you know, it's just like, oh, so beautiful. Putting in the last little bit of fuel so that we can get to Aralsk.
so much rubbish now, it's just like a wasteland. Some of you might be familiar with the Aral Sea and its fascinating history and geography. If you'd like to find out a bit more, I'll be releasing a mini documentary on YouTube soon. My sister's been staying in Bishkek by herself for a few days, and this morning she got the bus over to the Kazakh border and she's just texted us to say that she's through, so we're going to go and pick her up now.
So we picked Fleur up now, we're heading towards Altyn Emel National Park.
Fleur's only been with us about an hour and we've already broken down.
So we were driving along and all of a sudden Yak just started kind of sliding back and forth, and I looked and saw the tyre and so I'm just kind of changing to the spare now.
We've just been to the ticket office and got our ticket for 48 hours, so we're going to head over to the Singing Dune now, and I think it's all fine to camp. They said we're not allowed to drive after 8 o'clock. So it's all good. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Right.
We've made it up the steepest part. How are you feeling, girls?
It's not really singing, is it?
Go!
Give her a push.
Need a wider surface area.
Oh, go on.
Those roads were pretty horrendous, and it's shaken the back window kind of, and it's popped off its top rivets. So I'm worried that on the way back, the bottom ones are going to come out as well. Doesn't look too bad underneath, but I mean, if it comes off, it comes off.
A piece of the bulkhead fell onto my leg as well, which is good.
So I'm going to try and get rivets back on this, but I don't really know how. Maybe you take the seal off, I don't know. But it's just shaking it to bits. Charyn Canyon, and we plan to spend maybe a couple of nights there and camp by the river and drive all through I think there are like 5 different canyons, but things have changed and everything online's outdated. You can't actually drive there anymore, so we only did maybe like an hour's walk. It was really cool to see, but just a little bit disappointed because this was one of the things we were quite excited to do. So now we're just going to kind of head north and see if we can get into Mongolia.
So we did drive north towards the Russian border to see if we could then transit through the Altai region and into Mongolia from there, but sadly Russia had closed all their land borders for UK citizens because of everything that's going on.
So even though we had our Russian visas sorted before we left the UK and everything was in place for us to enter, we couldn't actually get into Mongolia because there was no alternative route into the country.
From when we started planning the trip about 3 years ago, Mongolia was not our destination, but kind of our end goal in a way, and definitely the country we were most excited for. So we were obviously really disappointed when we weren't able to get in, but at the same time just really grateful that we were able to get across to Central Asia at all, because we know obviously there are a lot of other overlanders at the moment who are stuck on the other side because they haven't been able to get permission. So yeah, we're grateful for that.
Yeah, so we're obviously really gutted not to be able to get to Mongolia, but hoping that someday in the future we'll be able to get there.
Definitely, yeah. We've driven down a track and found this amazing spot in a valley here next to the river. The temperature's a lot nicer because it's in the valley, so I think we're going to maybe stay here tomorrow, chill here for a bit.
Whilst we were on the corrugated tracks, one of the hub caps came off, and so just as an emergency we put some cling film and a bit of cable tie on it, but I've now moved on. I've upgraded to the shaving foam cap. We need to try and find a cap somewhere if we can. But for now I'm just going to gaffer tape this up and hopefully it'll stop as much dust or dirt getting in as possible.
David, what you found?
We found what looks to be wolf poo. From my vast experience with the wildlife of this region, it's looking fresh. How old do you reckon, Fleur?
That is quite fresh.
Much more, not much more than an hour.
David's just walked back to the Land Rover to get a pry bar in case we do meet a wolf. I don't know if this will do much, but...
Gaffer tape didn't work just because it was such bad quality, so we've gone for a cable tie and a Tesco Ziploc bag, so hopefully that'll be better until we get to the mechanic.
Good?
Really nice.
We've been very adventurous with our meal choices.
Asia, not good Land Rover, depende. Not good.